Hello, my dear friend. Thank you for being here today. Take a deep breath and listen closely, because what I'm about to say may make your heart tremble. Your life is standing at a threshold. Destiny is preparing a shift you cannot avoid. It will bring you to tears, not from despair, but because a greater truth is about to be revealed. And right now, I ask you to walk with me, to hear what could change your whole life. Aries, my dear Aries, this message may break your heart. Aries, my dear Aries, this message may break your heart, but please do not be afraid. The tears I see in you right now are not despair. They are not a sign of collapse. They are tears of release, of a soul finally finding its way out after long nights trapped by worry, by silence, and by burdens that were never truly yours. You have known sleepless nights, staring at a dark ceiling, wondering why your path feels so heavy. You have forced a smile while your heart quietly cracked. You have been strong for so long that you forgot you were allowed to be gentle with yourself. And today, the universe gives you permission to cry. Sometimes the thing that makes us break open is the very thing that opens the door to healing. Do you remember the last time you cried, not from pain, but from relief? When you set down an overpacked suitcase from your shoulders, when you walked out of a room full of suffocating memories, when you realized you no longer had to prove anything to anyone. That moment when you cry not from hurt but because your soul is finally free, that is the turning point. Those tears, Aries, do not make you weak. They are witnesses to courage. Society teaches us that crying is a weakness. The truth is different. Those who dare to cry, who admit they are overwhelmed, are the truly brave. Courage is not only in the loud roars. It lives in the quiet moments when we sit with ourselves and admit we need a new beginning. I have met many on this path, people who seemed unbreakable, and only when they let themselves cry did their hearts begin to heal. From those tears, a greater strength was born. Imagine you alone in a familiar room. Outside the window, night falls and the city sinks into silence. You feel your heartbeat, slow, steady, reminding you, it is time. You cry, but this time it is not painful. Each drop falls like an old rope being slowly untied. You breathe out, and with that breath, a portion of the weight dissolves. In that instant, your soul knows it is time to step toward the light. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, have you ever cried not from pain but because your soul felt free? Let that question echo inside you, long and soft like a voice in a wide cave. Then notice that the answer is already waiting within you. If you have felt it, you know the feeling like the sun rising after a storm. If not, trust me, that moment is closer than you think. Believe that every tear you shed now carries meaning. They are not only washing away sorrow, they are the universe's message that you are ready. Like dry soil needing rain to bloom, your soul needs these tears to open a new season. When you allow yourself to cry, you plant seeds for resurrection, for a future no longer bound. If you are listening and your heart stirs, be brave and name that feeling. Write down your story. Tell me and tell others. When was the last time you cried from release? When you share, you do more than open a door for yourself. You help someone out there find recognition and peace. You are never alone on this path, Aries. The moment you cry today is a beginning, not an end. It is the breaking of a tight cocoon so a butterfly can stretch its wings. These tears, Aries, are only the opening act. The universe is preparing a journey far greater than you imagine, a shift you cannot resist. And those tears, Aries, are only the beginning, because the universe is preparing to move you. Aries, when I look at the energy around you right now, I see a powerful nudge from the universe. This is no longer a choice to weigh, nor a vague suggestion. This is a sacred arrangement, an invisible hand, steady at first, then firmer, gently then firmly, pushing you out of the place you have lingered too long. I believe that when one door closes, the universe will not leave us trapped in darkness. It lights a lamp. It opens a sliver of light. And if we hesitate, destiny will push us into that light with everything it has. Think about the times you stayed too long in a place that was no longer a home for your soul. You remember, don't you? The room growing smaller, the walls seeming to close in, the air heavy like an old cloak that no longer fits. You stayed out of habit, out of fear, or for a false sense of safety. But deep down, you knew this was no longer for you. The universe will not let you wither on soil that has run out of nourishment. It wants to plant you in new ground where you can bloom, where you can truly stretch toward freedom. Leaving can make us tremble. It makes us ask, am I running away or am I seeking? Listen closely. Leaving is not escape. Leaving is a step forward, a brave step toward destiny. Escape comes from fear. Moving forward comes from faith. And in this very moment, the universe is testing your faith, asking if you will trust a brighter future even when its shape remains unseen. Let me say this clearly, this change is not random. It is not a small decision you can postpone. It is a grand summons, a sacred awakening. If life is pushing you to the edge of exhaustion, if what once felt safe now feels like shackles, know this: you are not abandoned. You are being lifted. You are being steered toward the light. Picture yourself standing at the start of a long road. Behind you are footprints of endurance, cracks in your soul. Ahead is a sunrise. And you know to reach it, you must leave the spot where you stand. That action does not betray the past. It honors it. Because only by moving can old memories become foundation instead of chains. If you have stayed too long in a life that lost its life, be honest with your heart. What kept you there and what finally made you let go? When you share, you inspire other souls, those still lost in their cramped rooms. Your story, however small, can become a candle that lights someone else's darkness. And Aries, when destiny calls you to pack your bags, it's not just a move, it's a resurrection waiting for you. Aries, I can see the deep marks etched into your shoulders from carrying burdens for far too long. Not all of those weights ever belonged to you, yet you bowed your head and kept walking, as if you were born to be the pillar holding everyone else up. You stayed silent to protect a false peace, a kind of calm that existed only on the surface, while inside your heart grew heavier each day. I have seen many Aries souls like this, so strong that others believed they never needed shelter. But that strength over time becomes a chain. It makes them forget themselves, forget that they too deserve love, forget that they too need a place to finally rest. Your back has carried more than it should, and your heart knows it's time to lay it down. How many times have you felt exhausted but whispered to yourself, "I'm fine"? How many times have you forced a smile just to keep others from worrying? And in the effort to protect everyone else's comfort, you let your own heart wither day by day. That is not love, Aries. That is sacrifice stretched far beyond its limit. Letting go of burdens is not selfishness. It is the deepest act of self-love. When you set them down, you are not betraying anyone. You are staying loyal to your soul. And remember, loving yourself does not make you unkind. It gives you the strength to love rightly. Not a love that props up false peace, but a love that nourishes truth and freedom. Pause for a moment, close your eyes and ask yourself, what responsibilities are you carrying that were never yours? Who placed those heavy bricks in your hands? And why do you still carry them today? Do not fear the answer. It will set you free. When you write it down, when you speak it out, you will realize you are not alone. If you've ever carried a weight that wasn't yours, share your story below. Your words may free another Aries. Sometimes a single story, a moment of honesty, can be the key that unlocks another soul's prison. Aries, you were not born to carry the world. You were born to live, to shine, to inspire with the fire of your freedom. And only when you release what was never yours to hold will your shoulders be light enough to embrace the gifts the universe has already prepared. And once you release that burden, you'll see what destiny has placed in your path. Sometimes, in the very moment when it feels like every door has slammed shut, a thin ray of light appears, not from where you expected, but from a forgotten path. Opportunities rarely come knocking on the familiar road. They arrive from sudden turns, from a face that once vanished from your life, or from a simple message that carries the power to change everything. Over the years, I've learned this. The universe loves to send its greatest gifts in roundabout ways. And you, listening now, must remember, none of this is ever random. Think of a face from your past, someone you believed was gone forever. What if the person you thought was gone forever suddenly became the messenger of your destiny? Let that question echo inside you, soft but full of hope, because sometimes a brief encounter, a single conversation, is enough to shift the course of an entire life. The universe works in this mysterious way, placing the right soul at the right time, and slipping into your hands the map for your next chapter. Picture receiving a message, just a few short lines. Yet as you read it, your heart shakes, as if destiny has knocked on your door. Or imagine an old friend crossing your path on an ordinary afternoon, and in their casual words, you realize the door you've been waiting for has finally opened. This isn't just about a financial gain, a new job, or an invitation. It's the key that takes you out of the old ground, the place you've endured for far too long. I believe life sends us these signals when our soul is finally mature enough to hold them, and true opportunity isn't always seen with the eyes. It's the fire that flares up inside your heart the moment you face it. What matters is not how big the door looks, but whether you are brave enough to step through. If deep inside you feel ready, whisper a declaration to the universe. Comment the words "I accept" if you're ready to welcome what destiny brings. That single phrase becomes a signal carrying your energy outward, drawing the opportunity closer to you. Don't underestimate the small act. Every truth spoken from the heart is heard, and each one sends ripples toward the shore of a new future. When opportunity comes, it carries more than material reward. It delivers the reminder that you are worthy of change. It tells you that you are not trapped, that every burden you've carried was only preparing you for this very moment. And when you open your heart, you realize opportunity is not just a paycheck, not just a new title. It is the rebirth of your spirit, the return of a light you thought was lost. Let this silence now feel like a sacred space, a pause where you allow yourself to dream of possibilities you never considered before. The future is not only built on long-term plans, it is shaped by the moment you dare to say yes to the unexpected. And sometimes, a single nod, a single yes, can change the course of everything. And Aries, with opportunity comes abundance not only in money but in spirit. Picture a morning as you open the door and step into a space that is truly yours. Light pours through the window, spilling across the bare floor. And in every corner there is no longer the weight of confinement but the quiet invitation of freedom. A new home, a new environment is never just a shelter. It is a space where your soul can breathe, where you can laugh, where you can sit in silence without explaining yourself to anyone. A house is not just walls and a roof. A home, I believe, is the place where every breath finds peace. Can you imagine walking into a space where every corner feels like it finally belongs to you? A place where you can set a flower pot in the corner and no one asks why. Where you can play music as loud as you want or sit in perfect stillness, simply because that is what your heart longs for. A place where you never need permission, just to be yourself. True abundance begins right there, in that moment when your soul is no longer pressed down, but allowed to stretch wide in its natural rhythm. It's easy to think abundance is money, the rising numbers in your account, but the deeper meaning of abundance is the ability to live free, unbound by control, unshaken by fear, unburdened by expectations that were never yours to carry. When you can finally say, "This is my life and I choose to live it in my own rhythm," that is wealth no dollar can measure. Now imagine this. You come home after a long day. You step into this new space, and immediately you feel the energy is different. The air no longer presses down, it nourishes you. You look around and the walls seem to smile back at you. You place your hand on your chest, and in the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat, you hear the quiet confirmation. This is where you belong. Write in the comments, "My soul deserves freedom," if you feel this truth. When you declare it, you're not just speaking to yourself. You're sending a message to the universe that you are ready to live freely, truthfully. And trust me, the universe always responds to the hearts brave enough to speak their truth. Abundance and freedom are waiting for you, like a new land with fresh air and wide open fields. But remember, the road there is never lined only with roses. Freedom is a great gift, and the greatest gifts often arrive with challenges. But Aries, freedom is never handed without challenge. And some will try to hold you back. Sometimes the hardest part of change is not packing boxes, and it is not even taking that first step. It is facing the people who will try to hold you back. They may speak in honeyed words. They may wear the language of love. They may even shed tears to make you believe that your leaving will wound them. Look deeper, though. Not everyone who says they love you truly wants you free. Often, it is fear wearing the face of affection, the fear of losing power, the fear that when you stand up, they no longer control your story. Have you ever noticed how the loudest voices asking you to stay were often the same ones who kept you small? Think about it for a moment. Those who shout the most for you to remain were sometimes the very people who silenced you, who made you shrink, who clipped your wings. It hurts to see it clearly, and yet your soul needs that truth. If you do not see it, you remain bound by a false thing called love. True love never asks you to sacrifice your freedom. Real love wishes the other person to live fully, even if that means they must leave. When someone truly loves you, they open the door for your leaving. They do not build walls to lock you in. True love frees. And when you choose yourself, when you decide to go, you are not betraying love. You are returning love to its truest shape. Picture yourself at the threshold. Behind you are voices, hands reaching to pull you back. In that instant, guilt knots your chest. Ask yourself, which love needs chains to survive? Which love dims your light to feel safe? Answer honestly and you will see you owe no one your surrender. You owe yourself a life that is free and truly yours. If you faced guilt when choosing yourself, drop a heart in the comments so others know they are not alone. Let one small heart become a flame linking souls learning to step out of guilt's bindings. Because when you say, "I am no longer afraid," you give someone else permission to do the same. Remember, guilt is the last tool of those who refuse to lose control. Once you see through it, guilt becomes only an illusion. You, with your strong heart and the light in your soul, have the right to step out of that darkness. And Aries, once you break free from guilt, signs will arrive fast and clear to guide you. Sometimes life does not announce change with storms or thunder. It chooses a quieter, softer way. A sudden call, a single simple message, even a passing phrase someone lets fall on the street. And in that moment you hear it, your heart recognizes it immediately. This is the key that opens a new door. Imagine receiving a simple message and realizing it carries the key to your new life. The wonder is that truth rarely comes from far away. It lives right beside us, in the moments we least expect. I believe this is how God and the universe work. He does not always speak in a thunderous voice from the sky. Sometimes he whispers through a short line of text, or through a friend who appears without warning, or through a coincidence that was arranged long before you noticed. Those small details, they are the hand of God, quietly touching your life, lifting you out of dark days and inviting you into a new journey. Never dismiss the small things. A brief meeting can change the direction of a lifetime. A simple piece of advice can become the foundation for years to come. A message that lights up your phone at exactly the right moment can be the clearest sign you are ready for rebirth. Life does not need noise to prove its power. Often it is the tiny, seemingly meaningless details that tell you it is time to change. Close your eyes for a few seconds and picture this. You sit in a familiar room on an ordinary day. The phone rings. You hesitate, then answer. On the other end is a voice you did not expect, and each word makes your chest tremble. You understand, in that instant, this is no ordinary call. This is a sacred invitation from destiny. You have been chosen to begin again. If you're ready for your rebirth, type "I am ready to rise" in the comments. When you write that declaration, you are speaking to yourself, to God, and to the universe that you are ready. And when you are ready, doors will open one after another, leading you to the place where light and peace wait. Remember, rebirth is not some distant miracle. It arrives the moment you listen for the small signals around you and trust that they are the holy hand guiding you. When you trust, you will find your steps are placed upon the pathway laid out for you, where pain is healed and new joy is born. And Aries, after all the trials, all the tears, all the lessons, comes the moment of truth. At last, we arrive at the closing chapter of today's journey, and I want you to remember this clearly. This move is not merely a change of address, not simply packing boxes from one place to another. This is a rebirth. This is a sacred arrangement where God and the universe take your hand together and lead you through the new door. Every tear you have shed, every pain you have endured, has been preparing you for this moment. You are no longer the old version of yourself. You are becoming a free soul, radiant, alive, and renewed. Thank you, dear Aries, for opening your heart and walking this path of healing with me today. I know how brave you must be to open up and listen. I honor every minute you have spent here, present, sharing and lighting your way. May your new beginning be filled with freedom, light, and the kind of peace that stays forever in your soul. May this fresh start be a journey of liberty and illumination. A peace so deep it reaches the very core of who you are. You deserve all of this goodness, and I believe, from this very moment, a door has already opened for you.